Time now to take a look at the morning papers once again. Here with me this morning are the former editor of the Daily Star, Dawn Neeson, and the presenter and writer, Matthew Stadlen. So welcome back to both of you. Nice to see you again. We dealt with a lot of the front pages in the last hour, so we're going to delve inside them this time round. And Dawn, you're kicking us off with a story that has gained a lot of attention. The very sad death of a head teacher who was waiting for an Ofsted report at the time that she took her own life, and it's prompted a debate about Ofsted, hasn't it? So this is the Times this morning. Tell us what they focus on particularly in this article.
Yeah, this is, as you rightly said, Anna, the very tragic story of a very well-respected head teacher called Ruth Perry. She was 53 years old. She took her own life in January this year, and after receiving an Ofsted report, which is the inspection body for schools to see how standards are being upheld, after having her school downgraded from outstanding to inadequate, and her family are blaming the Ofsted report directly for Ruth's obviously state of mind deteriorating so much that she took her own life. Actually, it's incredibly sad, but the story has opened this big debate about Ofsted and the pressure they put on schools to perform. I was listening a lot during the week about this story, Anna, and I never really understood the amount of pressure that Ofsted actually put on schools to literally tick every box, cross every T and dot every I in every area. Now Ruth's school, 98% of the parents there were very happy with it. The children were performing well and doing very well. So the school's downgrading was on one tiny issue, which basically boiled down to staff not being able to file something properly on the school's computer system. And for that, a school where the teachers were happy, the pupils were happy, the parents were happy, was downgraded to inadequate. Now, the pressure on teachers when an Ofsted inspection is announced causes enormous pressure on them. And this story is literally saying many head teachers and the unions are now calling for a boycott of Ofsted, and a lot of schools are refusing to have inspections anymore because it is too much pressure, and it's actually stopping good teachers teaching the children what she's there for. And the final thing on this story, Anna, which I found particularly appalling, was that Ruth, this poor lady, had actually been used by Ofsted in the past as an example of how a good head teacher could be. So imagine her horror to have her school downgraded from 1 minute you've got outstanding on the front of your school, the signs we see, to inadequate. I mean, it's just an appalling, sad story. And the whole system obviously does need looking at, because we can't have any more Ruths.
Well, and Ofsted is saying they are going to continue with their inspections. They say they're really important for raising standards and giving transparency to parents, don't they? But they may look at that grading system. We'll wait and see if that develops. Let's move on, though, shall we, Matthew? Because you spotted a story in the Eye about the cross-channel routes being taken by small boats, and they're talking about plywood boats.
Yeah, this is shocking, but perhaps not surprising given the scale of what is going on the channel. And that very powerful testimony you had from that aid worker in Yemen before the break from Sahel shows just how desperate some people are around the world. And a lot of those people seem to want to come to the United Kingdom, disproportionately fewer than who go to many other European countries, perhaps, but nonetheless, there is a real desire to get here. And this is being exploited mercilessly, it seems, by people traffickers who are doing evil, in my view. And what they're doing is they're trying to squash many, many more human beings onto boats that are completely inadequate. So in this article, we hear from one humanitarian worker who says when they started trying to help in 2020, you could sort of recognize some of these things as boats, some of these vessels as boats, even though they weren't safe. Now they're almost unrecognizable as boats. They're using sort of almost paper-thin plywood, and then as you can see there, what appear to be sort of rubber tubes on the sides which can burst, so that you end up with 50 people sometimes crammed onto such a vessel, desperately trying to cling to plywood in the middle of the channel if those inflatables burst. So whereas perhaps 12 people were once on a boat, now we're looking at more like 50, and it is completely unsustainable. And of course, the great fear is that there will be another tragedy in the channel.
That's right. And what I didn't realise was that inflatable dinghies are banned in channel ports, aren't they? So that's why people resort to other options. We're rather brief this hour, sadly, but I am very pleased to say that you'll both be back next hour. So all the other excellent choices that you've made, we can visit then. But for the moment, Dawn and Matthew, thanks very much indeed. Don't go too far away. Do stay with us here. Coming up in the next hour, we'll get more from the actor Gwyneth Paltrow's testimony in a ski collision lawsuit.
You